Hello and welcome to Happy Horror Time. My name's Tim Murdoch.
And my name is Matt Emmer. I'm laughing because it felt like you were really pushing that out.
I had something in my throat. I don't know what it was.
Don't say that, or you're giving me too much of an in to
Go
have a
for
comment.
it,
What
Matt,
did you have in your throat?
Maybe like a gobstopper.
You were just like really into that intro. And I think it's because Tim and I are so pumped because we are not alone today. We have a wonderful guest joining us to talk about Alien Romulus with us. And not only we have been on his podcast before, but this is his first time on Happy Horror Time. So I'm just going to introduce our special guest. It's Mark J. Parker, the host of Release Date Rewind podcast.
Woo! Hello, boys. I'm bursting out of a chest to say hello to my favorite podcast. Hi, it's so nice to be here. It's a true honor. It really is. You guys are hilarious, and you know your stuff, and your fellow horror lovers. I'm just so happy to be here. So thank you.
Well, thank you. That's very sweet of you to say. Like, this whole relationship, this whole threesome started.
Oh my God.
Last year when Mark reached out to us to talk about Urban Legend on his podcast, which we're like, of course, we love that movie. But for our listeners, Mark, tell everyone about your podcast, what you talk about, and why it's called Release Date Rewind.
Absolutely, yeah. And Urban Legend, our discussion was one. I mean, I love all my episodes, but that one is one of the top tier. So if you guys out there haven't listened, please listen to these guys.
Would you say top 10 of your episodes? Top 5?
Number one?
Definitely, yeah.
I think top 5. I'll take top 5 That is like amazing.
I think top 5. Yeah. I mean,
good.
Wow, you're really putting me on the spot if you want higher than that. But sure. Okay, top 3. Okay, top 2.
You're like, okay. Everyone else that's joined you on your show now hates you. But no.
Yeah,
okay, so tell us about Release Date Rewind.
Yeah, so I've been doing it now for almost 4 years. And yeah, it's a podcast celebrating old movies. I've always loved all movies, all genres. So there's no, specific genre, but which maybe is a mistake because, people are like, oh, I don't like that one. I don't want to listen to that one. I want to listen to that one.
How far back have you gone? Because I go through your Instagram every day and
the silent movies.
Like it's like you're like happy 20th, happy 25th, and what's so crazy to me is like when it's like 2025, I have seen those like first day. So I love looking at your Instagram.
Oh my God, thank you. I love looking at yours too, both of yours.
Mine are just
as far back as yeah, exactly. So they're awesome. I'm a must see. But no, I've gone back. I think the oldest movie I've talked about is Singing in the Rain. So as far back as 70 years, which is interesting because I mean, like, I love that movie. It's like a true classic, but wasn't a popular episode, so maybe I won't go that far back again.
I'm singing in the rain. People are like, okay.
People are like, skip.
Well, but I have to ask because I know the answer to this, but like so you talk about movies on some anniversary year. Is it only? But is it only? Do you do multiples of 5?
Yeah, it's the milestones. So it's not even like 35. Some shows do 35. That's great. Or 45, like what we're doing here. Love it. I wouldn't do it. So bring it on.
Okay, I'm glad that we're doing it then. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, just the big ones like 20, 25, 30, and then 40, 50, 60, the big ones. Some people are like, this movie came out 22 years ago today. I'm like, okay, that's not like a real, anniversary. Sorry. It's cool. Great.
Yeah. And by the way, if listeners are wondering what he meant by 45, it's because the original Alien film came out 45 years ago in 1979, which is kind of why we chose to do this with Mark, or we reached out to him to do this episode with us, because Alien Romulus is new and we always talk about new movies, but it just so happens to be in the timeline of Alien films. It's supposed to be between Alien 1 and 2, which would mean it's kind of a sequel to the original Alien, which is exactly 45 years old this year. But question for you, do you get down to the specific, like you don't release your episodes like the exact week that a movie came out?
Oh man, wouldn't that be so nice if I could do that? No,
that'd
like this
crazy.
Summers are so busy because I'm a casting director as well. And last summer I joined this crazy show that I had worked on years prior, but it shut down during COVID and now it's back with a vengeance. So I am always so delayed. Like just now, by the time your episode's out, I will just have gotten to one of my July movies. So I'm a month behind. But yeah, I try to get it out, during the month of that film's anniversary. So
That's amazing.
my latest one is The Never-Ending Story, which is a July movie. But, like Mean Girls in April, Election in May. I try to kind of time it. Many people do it better than me where, they might do an anniversary episode and it's like the day of. I'm like, you know what?
Good job.
For you. I can't.
But
got other
sometimes
things.
you bring movies to my attention that are like happy 20th anniversary Stir of Echoes with like Kevin Bacon or happy. Right. How many years is it for Speed?
30. Oh my God. I
can't
love
believe
Speed
is 30 years old because,
I can't believe that.
The same.
And do you want to hear something crazy? And I talked about it on that episode. Oh my God. Speed is such a fun movie. Like we all know that, duh. But like rewatching it, man, it hits harder for me than ever. Like, what a thrill ride. I could talk about it for hours. But even crazier, Sandra Bullock just turned 60 and Keanu Reeves is about to turn 60. That freaks me out. I'm like,
remember how hot he was in Speed?
Do you want to know something crazier? They're still making John Wick movies.
I know, which is, I've only seen one. I love that people love them.
Same.
You've
Isn't
seen
that
zero.
weird?
Okay.
But I'm
haven't
just saying
seen 'em.
Keanu Reeves is still,
Yeah.
Well,
it makes me happy,
know,
though.
He
should
just
be.
kills people from killing his dog, right? I mean, not
Right.
just, but I mean,
Yeah.
that's huge.
I would kill people if they killed my dog.
That's what I'm saying. Like, what
yeah.
an awesome premise.
I mean,
Yeah,
Speed
it's simple,
was
but
incredible.
it's
It's just
effective.
so unfortunate Speed 2 was such a piece of shit.
Matt,
I
take
know.
that back.
I mean, I still had fun as a kid seeing it, but I actually want to rewatch it. And that's the hard thing is when I talk about these fun movies of our past for their anniversaries, it gets me like especially with this movie we're about to talk about, the first Alien. I didn't get a chance to rewatch Aliens, but now that I've rewatched Alien and now Alien Romulus, I'm like, oh my God, I want to watch Aliens. I want to watch the sequels, but I can't because now I got to use like any free time I have to watch the next movie I'm talking about. So that's the one I want to just like watch Speed 2 again. I want to watch like Never-Ending Story 2 or whatever,
Ooh, I
just
don't know about
keep
that
going.
one.
Yeah,
Well, I think it's so great that what you do on your podcast because, like Tim said, it brings attention to these movies in milestone years, and then sometimes when it has been a long time since you've watched something, and you look at it with like a different lens or at a different time in your life, you have a different feeling or different thoughts on it. Certain things will stand out that didn't, and so that's what's so cool about your podcast. And I want you to be able to tell people where they can find you online right from the start.
Thank you. Yeah. So feel free you can find me on Instagram at Release Date Rewind. And, I have my link tree there with all the links where you can find the show. It's on, all the pod apps and YouTube. Surprisingly, YouTube is doing pretty well for me. I mean, again, my expectations are low, but and I know you guys put your stuff on YouTube.
Yeah, we've
as
been
well,
putting
right?
more and more stuff on YouTube, even though it's not video, it's still audio, but it's like, and Jacob Jacob gets the credit for that. He really started, and Jacob, I think
job.
I think Jacob's our producer, my boyfriend.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and he is such an integral part of the team, and he really created our YouTube presence, and our presence has really been growing on there, which I guess I always thought, YouTube is such a visual medium. If it's just audio, they won't listen, but I was totally wrong. People like to listen to stuff on YouTube.
They just listen all day. If you have a certain job where I'm kind of jealous, where you can just listen to stuff in the background, I can't do that. So yeah, people let it just roll all day. So I love that you guys are really using it too. But yeah, at Release Date Rewind. And then I'm also a filmmaker and casting director, and I work in indie stuff. So you can follow my other one, which is MJP_POV to see some films. I think, Matt, in your Trap episode, you said you went to Midsummer Scream, right? I wasn't there, but my latest short film screened at their festival portion. It sounded like it was like a sold out, crazy event. So I hope.
How did
people
I
saw
not
it.
know
We'll
this?
see.
I wish I had known. We would have gone and
No
see it.
worries.
We went to a panel, and then we went to a one woman show, which was incredible.
Oh, yeah,
and
that sounds amazing.
It was called Final Girl. It was just so funny. But oh my God, I wish I had known. Well, we're gonna have to watch. What is the short called?
It's called Casting Kill. I might have told you guys about it when you were on my show. I forget, but it's been on the festival circuit for a few months. But it's a horror comedy about a casting director's night from hell. So casting instead of casting call,
Sounds like
casting
it could
kill.
be true to life. Maybe.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's definitely inspired, loosely
Did you
inspired by
get
some
my
real stuff.
8x10 in the mail? It's black and white.
Oh yeah. So you're a casting director.
Don't mind the staples in the corner.
Do you want? Do you have any roles
Staples.
for two gay horror podcasters?
Oh my
God!
God.
And if we can do comedy, we can do drama, and Tim does full frontal nudity if you need that.
Well,
You're hired. We'll figure something out tonight.
Cast and Kill Part 2.
Maybe one
Yeah.
cheek.
That's not If you have cheeks in the front, something's different
Well,
down there.
I know. That's why I do it.
Yeah. Hey, flaunt it. If you got it, flaunt
you
it.
do a ton of stuff. Jesus Christ. I can't
Yeah,
even imagine,
it's
like,
crazy.
I mean, I have a full-time job and I know how tough it is to have a full-time job and do a podcast, but also in addition to doing those things, making short film, like that's amazing.
Yeah, it's
So-
really crazy. And this summer has been crazy. So, I'm like, all right, at some point I got to chill, but it's like my addiction. I want to like keep working on stuff and, so.
No,
we'll
good
see.
for you.
But-
Well,
Does,
good.
Yeah.
does your husband participate? I mean, do you ever have him on as a guest?
Oh, yeah. Well, one time he was on my episode for Sister Act, which was really fun because he loves Sister Act. So every now and then he might chime in or like I might have his voice. And like sometimes I like to, I think, yeah, Tim, you did it for, oh gosh, what movie was it now? I can't remember, but I remember, Tim, you made a brief little voice
Oh,
memo.
that's right.
'Cause sometimes,
I heard it.
You remember
Yes.
which episode it was now? I should know.
Oh, gosh. And I want to
Oh,
say
man.
Heather's.
But every
that's
now and
not
then I
true.
like to have, maybe it was a Jawbreaker? I can't remember. Or
Maybe, I
Serial
think it
Mom?
was Jawbreaker. I
forget.
know it was
Wait, what
something
is
with
it?
But I like
Witchy
to, like-
Girls.
I basically what I like to do every now and then, it's sometimes more work than I want it to be. Especially because like people say, yeah, I'll do it. And then they don't. I'm like, do you want to do it? But I like to every now and then, I have a guest or two on, but I like to split up the episode with some short little voice memos from other friends and podcasters and creators who like the movie as well. Like a little 1 minute, like, hey, it's Tim from Happy Horror Time and I love this. And man, Tim, I wish, it was 16 Candles.
That's
It was
right.
16.
I knew it was something fun. I said I love
I
Jake
was totally
Ryan.
thinking about
Yes.
the Jawbreaker because I could see you talking about Jawbreaker.
No, I think I was
Yeah.
all about Jake Ryan.
Yes, you
Who
were.
isn't? Who isn't?
God, we need him back.
Yes.
He's like a carpenter somewhere in the woods or something. That actor.
Okay,
yeah.
so we gotta get to the
Yeah,
first
we gotta get to it.
Alien because I wanna dedicate most of this episode to Alien Romulus, but I want to discuss the original Alien, which is 45 years old. I want to hear like when was the first time you guys saw this, like, and was that the first Alien film you saw? Tim, you go first.
Okay, I saw the original Alien. I was very lucky. I saw it at Man's Chinese in 2013. My friend was working like a press screening for like the movie was, I guess, getting re-released maybe or some kind of special screening. So
Wait, that was the first time you saw it?
I mean, like, actually sat down and watched it on a big screen. I mean, I think my brother watched it when I was younger, like on VHS, but I was just kind of like, I don't care. I was very into
I
Friday
don't
13th.
care. Where's Jason Voorhees?
That's actually very accurate. I was like, I wasn't space to me. It just seemed my growing up experience with Alien was I thought the movies were long and drawn out. I wasn't that interested until Alien 3 came around in 1992. I saw that and I got the soundtrack. I know, geek. And I really liked Alien 3.
That's
But
so bizarre.
What was
I
on the
know.
soundtrack?
All the movies
Was
to
it-
pick Alien 3?
it was just, I mean, that's just where I was in 1992. I was like, I remember I saw Basic Instinct, Alien 3, House Sitter.
But then again, your favorite Friday the 13th is part 3. So, I mean, like,
Yeah.
you pick the more obscure ones, which is cool. I mean, you don't go with the flow. I can
love
definitely
that.
say that.
And Alien 3
like
didn't
the
have a
underdog.
script. Yeah. I like the underdog. Like
You-
Tanya Harding. I don't like Nancy Kerrigan.
You like the criminals.
Yeah, that's right.
I didn't know that. So Alien 3 was the first one you saw in the movie theater.
Right.
From mine too. But okay, so Mark, when did you first see Alien? Someone's got to see, because I first saw it as a kid, and I'm going to tell that story. But when did you first see it?
Yeah. So I saw these movies all out of order, completely out of order. The first one I saw in theaters was I was a kid seeing Alien Resurrection in like somewhere in Missouri, visiting my aunt and uncle. Like, I don't know why we all thought it was a big family movie to go see. I had never seen the previous
Winona
one. So
Ryder. Yeah.
I was
You probably
like
think it's a
so
family
ready.
film. Yeah.
Little
Women.
I will never forget Sigourney Weaver as the clone saying "fuck" when she has that scene where she says like "fuck." She doesn't know what it means. Like, it's just so bizarre. Anyway, go on.
Oh my God, you're right. Yeah, that one's like obviously like the wildest one. So I enjoyed it, but I was like, whoa, this is wild. So and before that, I had seen clips. It's kind of like, when you're a kid and you already kind of know like Psycho, there's like a big shower scene. So like I already kind of knew like there's like this alien pops out of the chest. And I think what movie spoofed it? Spaceballs. So I had
Yes,
already seen
Spaceballs.
Spaceballs. So like, it's hard when you already kind of see the spoof of the movie. You're like, oh, okay, yeah. But so I first saw Alien Resurrection in theaters. I didn't see the original Alien in full until and I wasn't a big student. I was like, hurry up, college. Let's get out of here. I want to work. But my favorite college course was a horror class. It was film and literature, and we watched all the Alien movies up until that time. So all four at that time. And so I didn't see like the full movie, start to finish until then, and I was freaked. So I must have been like 21 or so when I finally watched it. Yeah.
I love that you saw Ripley resurrected before you saw her actual human existence in these movies. That is amazing. But you know what? You're totally right, because like when you're kids or when you were growing up in the decades that we grew up in, we were like a little too young to see those first two movies and maybe even the third like in theaters. So sometimes you did catch it later in the series and then would have to go back. I was lucky enough that my mom was a huge fan of Alien and Aliens. So I saw them pretty early when I was first getting into horror movies. I think when I was 11 or 12 or something. My mom always loved really strong women who could kick ass. And so Linda Hamilton in Terminator 2, Ellen Ripley in Sigourney Weaver in Alien and Aliens. So I can't remember specifically if I saw Alien before Aliens or if I saw Aliens before Alien, but I saw them both around the same time and just absolutely love them. And I do admit, Tim, when I was a kid, the first Alien, it is very slow at the beginning. Like you have to, they're first arriving at the planet and what's funny, so I remember thinking that Alien was a little slower, whereas Aliens was like nonstop action and stuff. So I remember as a kid, I liked Aliens more. At this point in my life, I feel like kind of equal for both of them because they are both so good. Alien, the original, like now it really is like they really take the time to build the suspense. And like when you imagine at the time in 1979, having no prior knowledge, and that scene where the alien comes out of his chest must have been so fucking terrifying for people who didn't know to expect it.
Oh my God.
Because it's not like they had TikTok to just see the clip.
Yeah, so you didn't know, and had anything done anything like that in a movie before?
I mean, in the 70s, we had like Texas Chainsaw, which was, shocking, and Black Christmas, but nothing like that, where like, oh my God, I totally agree. It is so good. And it's the kind of thing where like you can see it multiple times, but still like it's so visceral. It's so that. And then of course, just the alien and how it, it's killing everyone. And like, it's just so perfectly, beautifully gross that. Can you imagine seeing that in the crowd back then? People must have fainted. We had The Exorcist. I mean, that was obviously very shocking and people were fainting and puking, but I don't know. Alien is like next level.
And also, I think one of the other reasons why I so appreciate Alien is because by the time we got to Aliens, every Alien movie featured tons of xenomorphs. Whereas in Alien 1, it was just one lurking in the shadows. So it really is like a slasher movie. The killer, you barely see them. When you do, you see flashes of them. So they really made the aliens scary. And I'm not saying Aliens 2 wasn't scary because I absolutely love that movie, but there's so many of them running around, it loses that terror factor, which Alien truly had. And no movie in this franchise will ever have that terror factor anymore because we know the aliens, we know what they look like. We've seen now thousands of them,
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree. That first one, it's so spooky because like for a while you don't get a good look at it, and it's this dark thing that just moves in backgrounds, right? But yeah, then we get so action packed in the great sequel because there are so many. So now it becomes like a true like monster movie, But the first one is totally a slasher. Yeah.
That's why I would think Tim, like a young Tim would like it. I get though, like meaning it because I know, but then you probably wanted like Friday the 13th where it was a little more often they had kills.
Associated Alien with like, I know this is, I'm going to like sound like a total bitch just for 1 second.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That gives me a perfect end to say.
I know.
Just for a second?
Just for 1 second. It associated to me with like Star Wars and Star Trek. So, I kind of lumped, like, I was like, it's on space.
You're like sci-fi, forget it.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like, I was like, of course it is 100% a slasher film. They get killed one by one and they're hunted down.
Yeah.
But it's not like you go to, like, after you see the movie, you go home and you're like, I'm
not in a spaceship. Yeah.
No, I get that.
No, I see what you're saying. That's what's funny is that I can see, and sometimes you just put that, it's in your mind, you're like, okay, this is going to be Star Wars, forget it, and don't give it the time of day, but it's so obviously not.
No,
like, it really is a slasher movie.
You said 1979 Alien came out. That is 45 years ago.
It's
That's crazy.
It came out 45 years ago, and the thing is, it's still so. Jacob and I recently watched it also, and like it really does hold up. Like, yes, there's some special effects that are definitely not at the level of today's films, and of course, the computers are laughable. But
that's so fun.
green screen computers. But the Alien, the effects look amazing, and also one other thing I wanted to call out in Alien is that ending is so good when she and this is the thing, every Alien film has now copied that, where they get to what you think is safety, and then there's one more alien somewhere they have to fight off. Alien Romulus did this. Aliens did it.
Every single one of them does it. It's pretty funny. It's like, okay, is this the ending? No. Is this the ending? No.
You're not safe. She like spends so long, and it's really funny because she blows up her entire ship in the original Alien to blow up the alien, and she escapes in the shuttle only to have the alien in the shuttle with her. And it's so scary because it's like, oh my God, she went to all that work and the alien's in there with her. But like, it's just so well done, and I'm just really getting into Alien talking about it now.
No, I love Alien, especially Alien 3 when she commits suicide and like it rips out of her as she's falling down.
I was so disappointed though with that, because imagine coming from loving like Ripley, and then I'm like, also I do got to say one thing, and I don't want to spend too much time on Alien 3 because it doesn't deserve it, but no, Alien 3 starts and immediately they kill off Newt and Hicks, who spent so long surviving aliens, and I'm like, why would you do that? And then they introduce that our big hero has an alien inside her, and I'm like, another thing, why would you do that? The movie's
sad. A mess, and they went on record and said like, hey, we didn't have a script. Like the studio was like,
there were lots of like behind the scenes issues with that one, right?
Yeah, I found that fascinating, and I also love that she shaved her head.
She had a cool haircut.
Yeah, so I just thought
she did,
and
look
that one
really
gave us
badass.
the now. Oh, she looked so bad. Oh my God, so tough, but still hot because she's Sigourney. But that one gave us perhaps the most famous image of the whole franchise, which is her and then the alien right there, like, which now the other films have copied. So it's funny how maybe one of the most polarizing entries gave us like the image of the Alien franchise,
to be completely honest, I don't know if I've actually ever rewatched Alien 3. I remember just being so sad that they killed off all of these characters that I grew to love in Aliens. Yeah. So who knows, Tim, to be honest, if I rewatch it today, maybe I'd appreciate it more.
I have a confession.
You just watched it last night.
No. When it came out, I think I'm like whispering into my own microphone. I think I saw it like 4 times in the theater.
I didn't know this, God. Mark, and I am shocked. I cannot believe you spent money 4 times to see Alien 3.
Listen,
that just took my breath away.
There was not much for me to do. It's not like I was out dating.
You gave them their box office. Just kidding.
I wasn't doing drugs. I wasn't dating. I mean, what was I doing? I was seeing Alien 3.
All right. I love that. I mean, okay, it's bleak. It's like the most bleak one. And like you said, Matt, like it opens with some like sad deaths. It's got a sad ending. I mean, wow, Tim, you really just bring it on.
I haven't
the depression.
seen it in 31 years. So.
I maybe you know what? Okay. I am now inspired, Mark. This conversation, and Tim, I'm gonna rewatch Alien 3. I'm gonna put I'm gonna put aside my biases, because we all do have biases, and I had such a bias against that movie that maybe I did miss something amazing about
Alien
it.
And Aliens. If I can't say Prometheus. Is that in the family?
Yes, they're prequels. Prometheus and Covenant.
I think Alien and Aliens, and the one that we just are about to talk about, are superior films. Yeah. I think maybe again, it's all about time. Like your podcast releasing, what's it called?
Release date rewind.
Release date rewind.
I was about to say release and rewind.
Oh my God.
Wait, what's it called?
Rinse and repeat.
Fast forward, rinse, repeat podcast.
But I think when it hits at a certain time, your mind is glued to it. Yeah.
I say it all the time. We have nostalgia goggles on.
Yes.
And that's kind of the fun, like that's why like sometimes I like to talk about like quote unquote bad movies, because we love them for whatever reason. It might have still had a great script or great dialogue or costume, whatever, so it's fun to rewatch it now and know like, okay, that's not a good movie, but I love it. And you go back in time. You're like, I'm a tween again, loving, I don't know, cereal mom or something.
Last thing about Alien that I just want to say is that, like, one thing I just wish that they had been able to do is get Sigourney Weaver back for, like, one of the latest movies, just because it's such a shame that Alien Resurrection was the last entry that she was in. And I read an article, because I was just, like, looking up shit before this, just because I sometimes go down a rabbit hole. And, like, apparently, I think 10 years ago, there was either an idea or a script or a treatment where they were going to bring her back, and she was on board, and it fell apart. And then, like, a year ago, they asked her if she'd ever be in another one, and she's like, you know what? There was going to be one, it fell apart, and that ship has sailed. And I'm like, oh.
Well, we got her in Cabin in the Woods.
Well,
Wait,
yeah.
She's, God.
And I feel like it was right around that time, or maybe that was when Prometheus came out, right around Cabin in the Woods. But it was right around that time that, they wanted to, I think it was the director who made Session 9, Neil Blomkamp.
Yes.
Right? And he even, like, storyboarded it. There were photos that were, like, I don't know if Entertainment Weekly, someone posted them. Like, it actually had some buzz, and I don't know why it fell apart, but she was front and center. And I think, you know what, it might have had to do with, like, CGI, because I think they needed to de-age her, and maybe we weren't there yet or something. But that makes me sad. She thinks this ship has sailed. I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
And the beauty of this franchise, we got clones. Time is all over the place. Like, whatever. Bring her back. How she looks like now, it'll work. You know?
And the beauty of timelines and how now we get so many sequels that ignore like certain sequels is that we could do a sequel to Aliens. So, AKA She Never Died. Hicks never died. Newt is grown up. She could be a big part of it. Carrie Henn, I think is her name.
Carrie Underwood.
Carrie Underwood could be in it.
Wow.
She could sing a little ditty.
She's like, no, but I mean,
she'll
what
sing
I'm
the
saying
theme
is,
song.
Like, they could totally do a sequel to Aliens and have them together, like her and Michael Biehn are, like, older and, I don't know, living on a planet where an alien gets released and Newt is, like, their child. Like, they totally could have done it. So I agree. I don't think that ship has sailed. She can totally do it.
I am a fan of Michael Biehn.
Oh, I love Michael Biehn.
Yes, definitely.
He's in the band.
And he was so pretty.
Yes.
I mean, like,
I
I realized that later in life, but wow, yeah, totally. Cherry Falls? Oh my God. Yeah.
Oh, it's just so hot. The Terminator.
Oh, yeah.
But he was great and nice in Aliens. Like, it was great.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about Alien Romulus, of course, but yeah, like, I do feel like, maybe they could have, somehow added her in there, even her voice, or I don't know, like, could have been interesting to really pick up where the first one left off or something. So I'm all for Sigourney coming back. There is a way. It's got to be smart and someone will figure it out.
And by the way, Alien Romulus, since it takes place between Alien 1 and 2, really all Sigourney Weaver's doing right now is floating in space. Because
she's sleeping.
So I was like, could they have, like, what if they just happened to, like, drive? They could have had one scene where the ship just was going by. They're like, whoa, what's that? And we all waved to Sigourney Weaver. That's it. There she is. Because I was like, oh, that's where Ellen Ripley is. Anyway.
Or just like a picture on the, like, just a picture.
Yeah.
Or you know what would have been really cool? And I know we haven't officially jumped over to Romulus yet, but one quick thing is, as they're looking at the computers on the ship in Romulus, like, what if, Ripley was the last one to sign in, and it's like, oh, Ellen Ripley, like, even that would have been cool, So,
oh my God. Well, let's start with Romulus because they did take stuff from Alien and they did mention it, so they just didn't call her by name. But anyway, wouldn't it be funny if, like, maybe if they, like, didn't have the rights to her? No, of course they did, because Ridley
Sigourney's
Scott
like,
was like,
I'm not signing off.
Do not use Ripley. Sorry. No. Okay, so Alien Romulus, like I said, takes place between Alien and Aliens. And I think this was kind of a breath of fresh air for Alien fans who weren't big fans of Prometheus and Covenant since they were prequels. And I don't know, I was sort of in the middle on those movies. I don't know if you saw them, but, like, they were a little too spiritual for me. Covenant was a little more on the story, but it's, like, very much like the engineers of this world and perfecting the human race. And I was like, just give me a fucking alien coming out of a chest and Ellen Ripley.
I think they realized that because the Romulus is that.
Yes, and Fede Alvarez, who I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right, but who did the Evil Dead reboot, which I loved, by the way. So I was really excited about this movie because I was like, I wonder if he's going to be, like, now the reboot guy who, like, comes in and, like, saves franchises or, like, reinvigorates them.
Side note, I think I sat next to him at the movies.
Wait,
really?
When we went to Alien Romulus?
Yeah, he was there, and then afterwards he was taking pictures with people.
I did see that he...
way.
Really?
Okay, I didn't even notice till now, but I did see a post that he was at the theater we were at when we saw this, but I didn't know you were sitting next to him.
Like, because I was like, oh, and then when I saw the pictures online, I was like, that's the guy we were sitting next to. So it was just one seat. And I was like, this guy's really watching this movie.
Well, you probably shouldn't have said, God, this movie sucked. Just kidding. No, he did not. He did not.
Was it like a special screening, or were you just at like a normal?
We just went. Then you know how movies come out on Fridays and you can see it the Thursday night before. We often do that, and usually people involved will like want because their first chance to see it with an audience, and
they
I can see this director being like, I need to see what the audience thinks. But oh my God, Tim,
was it sold out?
I'd say
I think
it was like pretty packed.
We saw an IMAX, so I mean, we wanted to see that with like everything, But oh my God, Tim!
Wow.
I've been meaning to tell you for like days, but I forgot.
Well, now you've told. I did not know this, Mark, until now.
Saved it for the pod. That's great.
I saw a picture, and I was like, oh, was he at our theater?
And then when I was thinking back of that night, I was like, oh, that's the guy who was sitting next to it. Well, there was one seat between us. And remember the way he was like,
I wish you grabbed him. I wish it was like during one of the. Yeah, you should have grabbed him and been like, "Oh my God, hold me, Fede!" And you know what?
Like, Fede, where's Ripley?
Yeah,
I don't. You know what? Unless you get Sigourney, I'm gonna eat this corny popcorn.
Love it.
Oh well, okay.
Wow.
So the movie opens with we do right away have some nostalgia because we see we're like flying in space and we see. I hope you caught this, a tiny bit of wreckage from the Nostromo. Did you see the name Nostromo? Okay, you did. For some reason, I thought people were gonna miss it, but I was like right away. I was like elated because I was like, oh my God, this is they're like already like acknowledging Alien, and you see that it's in its wreckage, but then you see this ship that's flying forward. It takes in this big black mass of something, and there's all these scientists around, and they open it up, and I didn't quite know what that was, but it was it the alien that Ripley shot out of her ship?
Yeah,
I took it as that. Yeah. So let me just preface with. I don't know if it was just my screen. I saw it on a big Regal RPX screen. It was so dark. Like, I know the movie is physically like dark. It's a horror movie in space, but it was so dark at times I really had to squint. Did you guys have to do that too, or was that just my theater?
I don't remember.
I didn't think it was that dark, but I mean, nothing against either of you were saying, but I was like, oh, there's an alien.
No. It's not that I thought I'm not. I guess it's because it wasn't just the xenomorph's body; it looked fossilized,
it was like,
and that's what I was confused about.
Okay, and I feel like it wasn't super clear where, like, the camera pans out, and then we're all like, okay, but at first I'm like, okay, I sort of see a long head, but maybe that's just the shape of the rock.
That's where I was. So, I was like, I'm like 80% sure this is like an alien, but I also didn't know. I was like, would it have been fossilized? Because the one she shot into space, I guess I just assumed died, but they explain in Romulus that aliens don't need oxygen, so I guess they're cool just floating around space.
I'm gonna ask a really stupid question because I know you guys both just freshly watched the original Alien. Mm-hmm. Is the name of the ship that Sigourney's on called Romulus?
No, Nostromo. That's what I was talking about when they see that thing.
Oh, okay.
It's Nostromo, but you bring up a really good point that we'll get into where, like, the details were a little murky for me because Romulus and Remus are sections of the ship that they're sections of the Nostromo. Am I right? Or am I getting it wrong?
No. Oh, no, I didn't. No, not sections of the Nostromo. Nostromo was blown up because it's self-destruct. She set it to self-destruct. So Nostromo was gone. The opening scene was the scientists that were on Romulus and Remus finding the alien she had blown out in Nostromo, taking it back to Romulus
taking it back
and Remus.
In.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah. So I get
that's
it. Nostromo's the name of the ship from the first one. Yeah.
Okay. Right. And that's
I'm
why
on board.
And it's destroyed.
I think the movie is really great, but that's why I'm kind of like, wait, this is like a sequel to Alien, but we kind of need I need to know more about wait, so you got the alien on the rock and like I just feel like this movie kind of skims through some big stuff in the beginning that I think I needed to see. So I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, is there going to be like a movie in between this one and Alien to show us all that?
Probably.
Is that what we're doing
or
now?
a movie between Romulus and Aliens to show us how we got to aliens. Like, I don't know.
Oh, definitely.
I will say this.
I'm sure.
I
Yeah.
was assuming, and I guess I was wrong, that the colony that our main character, which we're quickly introduced to, Rain, was on, was the colony that when aliens, they go to visit and everyone's been killed. But it wasn't. It was different because, and trust me, because I was like, oh, is that how it connects? But it's different. It's a different planet because I had to look up the names on fucking Wikipedia to know because I thought it was going to be that related. But I guess we're just supposed to assume at this time in our future, we have we're mining a bunch of different planets and moons and setting up colonies to work on these different planets. But the one that this movie takes place on or starts with, because right after the scene, we're introduced to our main character and her name is Rain, and she's on this really depressing planet or moon or whatever where there's all darkness, no sun. She has dreams about sunlight, and she has an adopted brother who's actually an artificial person, aka a robot, who was programmed by her dad to protect her.
He found him in the trash.
I know. I thought that was brilliant. I thought that was so interesting, like a discarded droid. Because usually in these movies, the droids are so, they got like real important stuff to do. But I thought that was really interesting. This one's sort of like the garbage that she, takes in as family. Thought that was really interesting.
All I could think of was, God, I would love to have a robot that's programmed to protect me.
Right? Well, are you in a lot of trouble, Matt? You can talk.
I know. Oh, guys, sorry. I'm always looking over my shoulders. No, it's just, or more like, I feel like this could get sexual real quickly and I don't want it to, but doing everything just to satisfy you. And I don't mean it like that.
You mean to go to the store and get you a Snickers?
Exactly. Yeah. Like, what if I'm like, hey, I want a Snickers? And, the name of the robot in this one is Andy, her brother. And he's like, oh, I'll be right back. Like, I would love to have someone to do that.
He had such a cute face. Like, he really at
Great
first
actor.
I was like,
he
is
was
this
so
going to be
sweet.
annoying? But it wasn't annoying.
It wasn't at first. At first, before I found out that he was an artificial person, I could tell something was a little off with his mannerisms, with the weird puns. He kept doing like the dad jokes, which I love those jokes. But and you knew obviously because she's white and he's black that when she said brother, that it was an adopted something or something. It wasn't a biological connection, but I did not know he was a droid until he gets beat up by some of the assholes on this planet and starts bleeding that white stuff.
That was so random. Like she just stepped away for 2 seconds to see wink she could leave this place, and then they were beating him up. I was like, what do people have against androids?
The only thing I could take from that is that I got the feeling from that other story they said that droids on this planet would run operations, and sometimes remember they talked about that droid that sacrificed that guy's mom because he needed to save other people, and they're like, oh, I hate droids. I feel like maybe a lot of people hate droids, and now I feel like we are talking about Star Wars, Tim.
See, that's what I'm saying. It's a big
now
nerd
it's
fest.
Everything Tim said is coming true because we're saying droid and droid and droid. But his name's Andy, and yeah, you're right. He was so cute, and it's like they have a great relationship. I will say of the Alien movies, the two main characters, I love that it was sibling relationship, not fucking, like romantic connections or anything like that. It was a nice sibling relationship.
I was hoping there was literally no love connections in the movie.
There was really no romance. You're right. It was nice. Rain and her friend, what's his name? Tyler,
the ex-boyfriend. Yeah, I think they dated.
Yeah, there's a little bit of something there. I think they hold hands at one moment. But yeah, I was so refreshing, especially because the last movie we got, Alien Covenant, which I didn't hate. I thought it was fine from what I remember it. But okay. I just remember as there's all this chaos, two of them are hooking up in a shower. And I'm like, what is this, Jason X? Oh, sorry.
Exactly.
It's weird to have a sex scene in an Alien movie because you're right. The first Alien, zero romantic connection.
We don't need it. We're not there to,
Even Aliens, her and Hicks, there was a little flirting, but nothing. They don't kiss, nothing, So
the best relationship is between the android Andy and Rain.
Yeah. It's like
she goes back for him. I know we'll get to that.
Yeah, but so poor Rain, she just wants to get them off this planet to go to Yavaga, which is a planet where you can see the sunrise because total darkness would be incredibly depressing. And but there's that scene where she thinks she's made the quota of hours and the person just ups them and doubles her hours, which is so awful.
Oh, that
So
was
depressing.
twisted. Awful. Sick. Yeah.
I mean, and they're trying to give us the idea that the company, they always call it the company that everybody works for, just does not look out for people. And sadly, that can be very true to life. There's a lot of corporations that do not care about their people. So it's not that crazy.
That's another reason why I really do love this franchise, even if I can't remember all the details, and I don't watch it a ton. I think it always has really interesting statements about like not only motherhood and rape, because I mean, basically the face huggers are raping people, right? But how the company, what is it, Wayland Yutani or whatever? How like it's every crew is expendable in every movie because they want just this thing to use for military use or whatever,
everything
right?
is about getting the specimen.
I didn't even know what that was because they were wearing the T-shirts that say Wayland and as we were going to the theater, we got stickers that said Wayland.
Wayland Yutani,
yeah. So I was like,
thank
you for putting that together.
Twisted.
And
that was the one good thing about Prometheus is I feel like because it was the prequel, like Guy Pearce plays Wayland. Like you just kind of like put a face to the company and like hear more about it. That was helpful.
And the good thing is that even if you aren't familiar with Prometheus, like if you didn't know that the character of Wayland was in that, like it would just be a name of a company to you and it wouldn't even be the biggest thing. But it is cool that they're all connected. But so poor Rain is just pissed. She's like, I don't want to be in this plan anymore. So then we get introduced to her friends, the other characters in it. There's Tyler, which she used to date. There's Tyler's sister Kay, who is like Rain's friend who admits that she's pregnant by some stranger. And then there's, I have something funny to say about Tyler's cousin. I had to look up his name because I did not catch it. Bjorn.
I needed subtitles for him. I'm like,
that's what I was going to say.
Accent is way too strong for my American ears.
Oh my God. You took exactly what I was going to say. I said to Tim after this movie, no. I'm so glad. I feel vindicated. Bjorn had such a thick, I guess, British accent. I could not understand what he was saying half the time. I felt so ignorant, but I just didn't know.
I'm like, movie theaters, we need to have an option or something for subtitles because I'm a big subtitle person at home.
Yeah,
and especially people with accents. Oh my God, like I'm just so basic that
accents. Like especially a British one. I think they're sexy, and I thought these two guys were handsome, but I knew Rain and Andy were the stars. So I was like, there was a part of me that was just like
to get killed.
Yeah, I was like, these two are going to get killed, so I really don't care what they're saying.
You're like, I'm not going to listen to what's his name, Bjorn. I didn't even know that was his name.
I did not know that was his name. I had to look it up. His girlfriend, Navarro, who's like the pilot of their ship. And I could not understand Bjorn for the life of me. Tyler, who also had a British accent, you could understand a lot easier. But Bjorn, I really couldn't understand him. And truthfully, that is the only thing that really took me out of those group scenes because I was struggling, Mark. I couldn't understand him.
Yeah, you're like, first of all, okay, I just met you all. Which one of you is talking? And then it's like, oh, okay, it's you. And I can't see. My screen is so dark, so I'm like, okay, this guy's talking, but I can't read lips. It's so dark. I can't hear you. Because it's like he had that kind of, not Cockney, but sort of like a more, I don't want to say it in a mean way, but, he kind of had like a lower class kind of, like he was sort of mumbling.
Yes, it was a mumbly British accent. There wasn't a lot of enunciation going on. And the truth is, I guess we're just supposed to think that these like planets that people are on are complete melting pots of people from Earth. That's why like everyone has different accents and stuff like that. So anyway, but the big news is they tell Rain that they found this, they say derelict spaceship. Basically, spaceship's been abandoned that has some extra cryo chambers. And if they can steal these cryo chambers, they can make the trip themselves to Yavaga, which takes like 9 years and they have to sleep. And everyone knows from the Alien movies that you sleep on these long trips. And they want Rain to let them use Andy because he's a droid. He can like help hack into the computer system.
Literally the only reason Rain is going is for her android.
Yeah.
Well, she wants to make sure they don't take advantage because she loves her brother, and they make fun of her for it. They're like, he's not your brother, he's like a machine. But this is she's grown up with him as her brother.
Right. It's like a teddy bear at night. Not that I have one.
Tim, it's my brother.
It's my brother.
What's funny is Tim has two actual brothers, but his teddy bear is much closer to him, right? Just
well, they live in Ohio. No, I'm sorry, Savannah.
I love Tim's brothers. They're both great. Are they listening? Probably not. So
last time I said that on, like, then they called me instantly.
He did. We mentioned his brother, and then suddenly he got like a call, and our first reaction was, "You listened?"
Yeah.
I love that. Hi, brothers. Welcome.
Hi, brothers, Jamie and oh my God, and Trevor. I was gonna say Timmy, and you're Tim. Jamie and Trevor, yeah. So anyway, so Rain like reluctantly agrees, and they fly up to this ship. And at first, only Tyler, Bjorn, and Andy go on board. They find these cryo chambers, but they need some cryo fuel. There's a lot of cryo stuff going on.
A lot
here.
of cryo.
Yeah, and so they go into this room, and I was thinking, wow, they got into the action quick, because as he's stealing some of this cryo fuel, it puts the temperature up on the room, and you see all these facehugger aliens starting to defrost.
God, so
they had been
nervous.
frozen there, and I was like, oh shit, you just unleashed like a storm of aliens, and they're stuck in the room
It
with
was
them.
very reminiscent to me. I'm sure both of you have seen Gremlins 2, the new batch.
Yes.
Remember,
Oh, yeah.
like it was very Gremlins 2.
It was without
I
the
actually
That's
thought Gremlins
good,
2
yeah.
did it just a pinch better.
then
Okay.
Alien Romulus.
Yeah, I mean just the
First Alien 3, then we get Gremlins.
Gremlins 2, the new batch.
Wait, are you gonna tell? Please don't tell me you like Gremlins 2 better than the original Gremlins.
I love them both equally.
Oh my God,
I love them
Mark.
both equally.
Okay,
Yeah, no,
well.
I mean, I love the original, but Gremlins 2 is really fun. We get the girl gremlin. Come
Yeah,
on,
you get a
iconic.
spider gremlin.
Oh my
It
God,
was-
that spider gremlin. Tim, I talked about that when I just talked about gremlins. That has messed me up. I think that is the root of my fear of spiders is that. And maybe
Spiders is
face
my only
huggers.
fear,
yeah.
and dying alone.
And aliens.
And aliens.
But in Gremlins 2, you don't get that lovely story from what's her name?
Phoebe Cates.
Phoebe Cates about her dad breaking
About
his
her
neck.
dad. What a monologue.
In the chimney.
And that's what led them to seriously discuss a different rating for films. Is that monologue?
Such a
Yeah. I
like,
mean, it's
harsh,
disturbing.
disturbing
totally-
story
it's
for like a
so
family
twisted.
movie.
I just got
So
goosebumps.
twisted.
It is
Yeah.
so twisted. Anyway,
But,
okay, so
but going
yeah.
back to what you're saying with like these kind of rows of what an amazing visual, but that's what I mean. I was just kind of like, wait, like how did they get there? I'm just someone where like, oh, I kind of need like a quick shot of like, how did they get there? Like, I feel like
you're right.
there's a movie in between. I need to know what the hell, because that's such a crazy, scary visual, and of course leads to all this chaos. And I'm just like, so what? Like, did the science people, I guess, take the alien and take DNA and somehow created face huggers?
No, you're right.
Am I
Because
right?
if you think about it, if this all started because they captured the alien, the xenomorph, the full adult xenomorph that Ripley had shot out of it, how did that alien make the face huggers? Unless that alien laid eggs to make them. I don't know.
They kept showing the video of the
Maybe.
rat getting smashed. Do you remember?
Oh, I think they were
That was with
mixing
the-
DNA.
Right,
with
they were
it, yeah.
mixing DNA. So I just figured, like,
Oh,
okay,
they made them.
Yeah, they were all made, right?
I don't know,
Oh,
but you're
that-
right.
Okay, yep. Okay, Tim, you're right. I think you're right. Yeah, they must have been extracting DNA from the xenomorph on the rock and then injecting it into animals or people. But
I
like,
just love
again,
that, like, we
that's
have to
twisted.
get
Give me
like
that
the-
movie too.
You're right, because
You know?
they have, but so just so listeners understand this, like there's a huge amount of these face huggers that they have, and you also find out later there's a huge amount of xenomorphs that have taken over this ship. So I
That are already
will
there,
say,
yeah.
like obviously the aliens can easily multiply, and they had frozen them maybe to try to keep them away from people. But obviously, so these three, they're in the room, and as they're stealing the fuel, these face huggers come outside and they're rushing through the water, and they cannot get out of there. And so Rain and Navarro like run in, and Rain realizes, the only way I can Andy can't get them out of there is I am gonna take a chip out of they find like this destroyed droid that had been on the ship, and I'm gonna put that chip into Andy, and then he'll have the clearance to get them out. That's a lot of quick thinking, okay?
Yeah, true.
And and
I'd be
luckily-
dropping that little disc in the water. Like, that
the
would
way
be
she
long
was
gone.
handing it to him, I was like, okay, like there's so much room for air. I was like, oh, someone's gonna drop this, and like, I was like, everyone, if it means so much, why are people just like, oh, here?
There are
Here.
some good suspense scenes with the face huggers. The way they jump at people, it's so jarring. Like,
Oh my god,
I loved it.
and they're
Terrifying.
constantly, and Tim, I know you're gonna make fun of me, trying to stick things down the people's mouths.
Yeah.
They're trying to insert their whatever impregnator down the people's mouths.
Yeah.
That was absolutely disgusting. And like, I mean, I'm jumping like 2 scenes ahead, but when she they pull it out of her. That was really effective. I was like, wow,
long.
I don't even know how you had to film that.
Yeah, when they pull it out of her mouth, it was so long, guys. What are you talking about?
Dear.
That must have been that must have been
9
like
to
CGI.
12 inches.
I think it was probably a dummy,
at least.
right?
It must. Yeah, you're right. It must have been a dummy that they just really. but can you imagine?
No,
you're
she
like
swallowed.
You're the
She
person.
swallowed that many inches.
Never miss an opportunity.
Well, you
my
said
God.
it. They're able to get the door open, but one of the face huggers gets out and jumps onto poor Navarro's face. Of all people, she wasn't even in the room.
I know, twisted. Yeah, she's basically not even facing them. The one time she turns around, that would be me. That would be my luck.
It's like she's like, I'm not even here to fuck with things. I just fly the plane. I have to get and so that if you know from the Alien movies, if you try to take it off someone's face, it starts choking you. So they can't do that. And the only thing they're able to do, and Rain comes up with it because Rain's a fucking genius.
She actually was. Thank God she was there.
She was so smart. Did you notice that she had ideas about everything? And I'm like, I'm going to say her dad was a scientist.
Well,
maybe.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say it's amazing. Like I felt like, is Ripley your mom? How do you know all these details?
That would have been a good twist.
That would have been a twist.
They did in the deleted scene
one.
of Aliens. Ripley had a daughter that had aged and died, and that's in a deleted because we have Aliens, the Blu-ray, and on the extended James Cameron version, there's a scene where Ripley asks how her daughter is, and she's aged past Ripley and died, which is so depressing and weird.
Geez,
yeah,
bleak again. So
bleak.
dark.
Yeah, they cut it anyway.
What I was going to say is but now Andy, the android, has been upgraded, so his new mission is not to help Rain, it is now to fulfill the mission. So
yeah, he's loyal to the company now.
He's a company man.
He is a company man because that chip they put in him, he's now looking for the company. But the thing is that they finally get the face hugger off of Navarro, but her boyfriend Bjorn takes her onto the ship, and you're not supposed to take people who are infected onto a ship. And they get onto the ship, and this is where I thought there was a little bit of a disconnect with other Alien movies because the alien comes out of her chest so quickly, like within a minute or two. And if you remember in the original Alien, when the face hugger goes off of, I think it's a character, Kane, he wakes up the next day, all day goes by, they have that big food dinner, and then it comes out. And in Alien 3, she has that alien inside of her for the entire movie till the end. Right. So since when are these face huggers able to implant a seed that comes out of you fully grown in 2 to 3 minutes?
And on top of that, I thought the same thing. They weren't even sure if the facehugger was done doing what it was doing, right? Ian Holm, they bring that droid. He's like, there's a 60 to 40% chance that, she's already impregnated. So they weren't even sure because it wasn't on her for all that long.
Yeah,
but yeah,
what were you going to say?
Like a minute.
I was just going to say, because we are now in a fast food society, we needed to bam, 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 bam.
It's like impregnate, done. It was fast. That was the only thing. And again, I really enjoyed this movie, but there were some things where I was like, you're changing the lore a little bit. Now, again, I get it. We didn't have the luxury of staying with these characters all day. So we couldn't like an Alien when we did, but it happened so fast. I was a little surprised. But bringing up one thing you brought up. So the big, real connection to Alien that they have is that this droid that was destroyed from the ship, when they put it back together, they have digitally recreated the face of Ian Holm, who played Ash, the evil android from the original movie. And apparently online that's getting a lot of hate because they don't like when they take actors' faces, especially Ian Holm died in 2020, and especially deceased actors' faces and regenerating them for movies. Now, I didn't mind it. I love a good connection.
I think it's only, you can't do it in a movie it ends with us, but you can do it in a movie like Alien because it's an alien movie.
Did that bother either of you?
I didn't care.
Didn't bother me at all. I thought it was so interesting. I think Ash is terrifying in that first film. And I had forgotten, and I know we're done talking about Alien, but I just want to say one of the scariest scenes that doesn't involve the xenomorph is Ash trying to choke Ripley with a rolled up magazine. Again, very phallic, very rapey, trying to get that down her throat. So that droid is freaky. So no, I thought it was great. I thought that was brilliant because now
he's a bad guy,
Yeah, but I
it's
did
not
sit
Ash,
through all
just so
the
listeners
credits.
know. It's not Ash. It's now, but obviously droids. There's a lot of them that look alike, so it's the same model, a different droid. His name is Rook, but because we all know Alien and we remember that Ash was a complete asshole and just wanted to like get the specimen, we know that he's going to be a bad guy. And yes, the digital recreation, you could tell it was digital, and there were times when it looked better than others, but I didn't mind it because I love connections to old movies in a series, you know?
Yeah, and I sat through the credits, and at the very end it says, with like very special thanks to Ian Holmes' estate. So obviously, like, they got all permission. I'm sure they got paid. Like, so I mean, all that's good,
I think it's a win-win.
Yeah, they didn't.
I wonder if it's because of like AI, maybe, or like I know, we're all freaked out by AI, so maybe something with that. But I don't know. It did not bother me. I thought it was fine.
That, but it's like I thought what people didn't want is AI to be using living people's likenesses when you could just hire the living person. We literally can't hire Ian Holm anymore. He's deceased. So I'm like, at least we got him, and you're paying his estate, so you're paying his family and getting.
I also think like technology. It's neat to experiment and like what can we do, what cannot we do. Well, let's try it. Like and if you're gonna do it in any kind of film, it should be an alien film. I mean, again, I don't think we should do it like if we remade The Breakfast Club and like, hey, we're gonna use like the same actors, but it's like the day after they were in detention, but obviously they aged. So
or the Lunch Club. It's a little later.
The Lunch Club, the sequel.
The sequel, The Lunch Club.
But we are using their voices.
Yeah, and like, what if we like we're not using oh my god, why do I not know Molly Ringwald? We're just gonna digitally recreate her and not pay her.
And she's in high school still.
That's bad. But this I didn't find.
I think it just used good judgment.
Yeah. So
I totally agree.
So Navarro, big scene where it comes out of her chest, and I will say it was very detailed, much more detailed than the other ones because they have the effects to do that, and runs away. And when this little alien runs away, it's going to be a big alien in like a matter of minutes. And Kay, the pregnant girl who was just sick and napping, was woken up by that.
By the way, just a quick side note, she has 80s hair. Continue.
She had what? What did you say?
He said 80s hair. That curly.
Oh, 80s hair.
It's like totally crimped or something. I was like, interesting choice.
See, I thought her hairstyle reminded me of...
This would have been back... it would have been like a couple years after the first one. So I guess maybe that was their nod to like, okay, this is the style in the future, right?
Fit. I mean, if you're right, it was like between the 70s and 80s that really fit.
Well, I thought she had curly Sue. Remember Curly Sue, the movie? She had her hairstyle.
How do you remember her name, Mark? You would know her name.
I know her name because she was on The Voice later and won. Her name is Allison... Oh, shit, really? I don't know what her last name was.
Porter?
She won?
Porter. She won The Voice. Isn't that amazing? She goes from being like an actor to being... does she have a successful recording career? I don't know.
You know what? They're going to do AI Curly Sue 2, even more curly.
Curly Sue 2.
Curlier Sue.
Curlier Sue. Curlier Sue. Now she's a singer.
Yeah, that's a good sequel.
I like it.
I'm
Let's
gonna
watch
go to the
it.
studios.
Forget Alien, Curlier Sue. Anyway,
my
okay.
God.
So Bjorn and Kay go to like look for this little alien, and what I love about these movies is they always think that the alien, because they don't know it's going to grow so much, so they think, oh, we're going around to hunt this little cute dumb alien.
Right?
They find it in this huge vagina-looking like cocoon.
Which we've never seen before in an alien movie. Am I right? Like
never. I thought it just shed its skin and became big, but apparently it goes into some vagina cocoon.
Yeah, which I don't know how that's made, but okay. Does it just sort of like
eggs in the past?
But it created its own egg. It is weird. Again, what I was saying about the playing a little with the lore, like he's really stretching some of these things. Again, whatever. He's his own filmmaker. He can do what he wants. This is a dumb question,
but I'm going to ask it because you guys are much more Alien, Star Wars, Star Trek people.
Nerds.
No. How do the aliens live on that ship? I mean, do they live strictly on people? I mean, like, is meat there? Are they carnivores?
Oh, like what do they eat?
Yeah, like are they only alive by eating people?
I mean, to be honest, we don't know if they even need to eat because they said the one that got blown out of the ship survived in the middle of space. So
who knows? Both the original movie and this new movie call a character. Maybe it's Ash / Rook, the droid. They call them the perfect specimen, the perfect
being or something.
So maybe they don't need to eat.
Yeah, maybe they don't need to eat. Remember, you're thinking of it like a human needs.
Right.
Like maybe they don't have
when
needs.
I think of the movie Alien, I think of it like Jaws. Like they're just ready to kill and eat.
I don't know I don't think it's eating. I think their only purpose, other than just killing other people, is to
be scary,
to reproduce, to cocoon people and use them as hosts for their eggs, They
just want to rape. It's but it's like that's what's so scary is like they don't care. They don't even want to eat you. They just want to get it in you and
they want to get it in you and leave. It's like wham bam, thank you, alien.
Oh dear.
Yeah. Well, so they find this cocoon and Bjorn has this like shocking gun thing and he puts it inside and is trying to like shock the alien and you think maybe it killed it. Of course it didn't. And instead all of its acid blood, which if you know these movies, the aliens have acid for blood, drips onto him and he kind of like disintegrates or whatever.
Yes. That was gnarly. And you know what? He was an asshole. So it was kind of like a good death for him.
And we couldn't understand him.
He was making fun of Andy. And we couldn't understand him. So it was like, off you go, But yeah, that was pretty cool.
After the first hit of acid, wouldn't you move?
That's true. He didn't move.
I think he might have just freaking out.
He was so shocked.
He
was looking at his hand.
Stunned. Right.
Yeah, it was really weird. But now the full xenomorph that we know, and know and love, comes out of this cocoon and is going after Kay. And she's kind of trying to get away. And she gets to where there's a door between her and Rain and Tyler and Andy are on the other side. And they're begging Andy, who has the clearance, to open the door. And he refuses because he says it'll put their lives at risk. And they have to watch Kay get lifted up and just pushed away. Right. And we don't know what happens to her.
And that was a very slasher scene, how many times have we seen the girl at the door, open the door, and then, right?
Right, but Andy was heartless, and then she had to slap him.
She did slap him. There was a good slap. She's like,
that was a good slap.
She knows that the Andy she loves, that doesn't have that other chip in him, would do anything she wanted. But now it's just whatever's good for the company. And all I'm thinking is get that fucking chip out of Andy. Grab him by the neck. Come on, guys.
Yeah, why didn't they at that moment? Or did they?
But on the flip side, just to play devil's advocate, yes, that wasn't Andy anymore. That was cold-hearted, but they might have all died. If
so true.
It is true. You're right. It's so hard though because I know myself in that situation. I could never just sit and watch. I would take the risk. I just do not have the heart to, even if there's a risk, to just let someone you care about die.
I know.
But you're right. They could have opened the door and then all died.
And it's so interesting you said that because the rest of the movie is 100% risks.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Rain does not get hurt really at all.
But Rain, at least is the most human of them in terms of wanting to help people. Well, so they are going, and I don't remember where they're actually going, but they end up getting to a place where they find and locate the xenomorphs, the cocoon that apparently there's been tons of xenomorphs on the ship, and they've cocooned tons of people who are all dead, but they end up finding Kay, who's been cocooned and isn't dead yet. And I was like, that makes me feel a little better, I guess, that she wasn't killed.
It's kind of amazing that Kay, we think okay, she's the best friend that's gonna die, but she actually ends up being, she's sort of like the Helen Shivers of this movie, where it's she's in it for a long time. I mean, we'll get to what happens to her, but what did you guys, real quick, what did you think of the cocoon stuff? Because that was both cool and for me also I don't know, it made me think of Jeepers Creepers, how all the bodies are
I actually thought it was I hate to say this because I sat next to the director, but I'm just saying I thought it looked a little universal, like I'm walking through, hey, look at the new Alien exhibit. I was none of it was particularly scary, and I thought the people hanging in the thingies weren't really
looked a little goofy.
Yeah, right? I was like for some, it just, I don't want to say it looked half-assed because I still thought it was pretty spectacular, but it wasn't if it was. Did you ever see the movie Curse of the Black Widow? When the Black Widow, the big spider keeps all the people, it's a TV movie of the week. It kind of reminded me of that.
Okay.
See, it wasn't great.
So this is what I thought. I remembered them cocooned in Aliens when they find that. And for some reason, I felt like that was more detailed and in depth. This looked like a bunch of like black masses of like almost like rock and stuff. It wasn't very detailed. And I thought for a movie that was so visually incredible and so like the look of this movie was unbelievable, that part did leave a little bit.
It was just underwhelming
because I thought maybe the cocoon could have been a little more detailed, and it did feel like just a big like dark mass kind of thing.
And maybe the reveal of it could have been a little more, I don't know, almost like typical horror movie where like one of them bumps into a body and then it's like, oh my, and then you realize like, oh my God, they're everywhere. But another thing I just didn't love, and again, I think this movie's pretty awesome, but just with this cocoon stuff, I just didn't love it also because I'm like, who are all these dead people? Because it's again going back to like the stuff we didn't see in the beginning. So I'm like, okay, I'm not really scared and I don't really care about them because I don't know who they are.
Yeah, I agree
just
with you 100%.
Just the people on the ship. I mean, that's all. It's like everything. It was like, again, they spent, like you said, no time really explaining the people on the ship, other than that they were using the aliens to try to mix alien DNA with human DNA to create like the, you know, like stronger humans, which again, anytime you do that, have they not seen Jurassic Park? Like that is not going to end up well.
It's not going to work. Yeah.
It definitely doesn't end up well for, is her name Kay?
Yeah, so they end up, so they're able to get her out of the cocoon. She's not been implanted by an alien, but poor Tyler gets, there's xenomorphs all around this cocoon, and poor Tyler gets impaled by one, lifted up, and then classic alien kill when, you know, like when the xenomorph has the little head that comes out and punches through your head. It just like bashes through his head like it's fucking cardboard.
You know what movie did that really well was Species, 1995 with Michelle Williams.
Is so good.
Oh, like the tongue through the head. Yes.
Oh my God, iconic.
I was a little sad because Tyler was really cute.
He was cute. And
he was so cute.
And
it was
26.
Oh, did you look up his age?
Not that I did.
Not that Tim's like, we're Instagram friends. I'm following him. I've reached out to him. We're going to have him on the podcast.
I loved Alien.
He said, I love you.
But no, I liked his death because it was so brutal. Like he's there, he's like dying. He's got the gun and he's like shooting or he's about to shoot. But that thing just, and within seconds, it's like he's dead. Like there's no big, you know, like he's gone. So
and it was a true alien death. I felt like, oh my God, he went there to save his sister only to get killed. It was kind of sad, but like Rain, so unfortunately the sister Kay is not doing too well, and they're gonna give her this like alien / human hybrid compound to use to feel better, but thank God Rain says, I don't trust it, don't use it, and she sends her back to the ship, and she's like, take this elevator 1,000,000 floors and go back to the ship. I'm going back to get Andy because the xenomorphs also knocked Andy over. Yeah, and she, again, I did like Rain, but I almost felt like she was so fearless that there were parts that didn't feel real. Like she took every risk and just went into it without a second thought. And I was like, I mean, it's amazing, but like, I always felt like Ripley, I guess in the first two movies, you could tell when she was terrified, even though she would push herself to do stuff. Like, not saying the girl's performance who played Rain wasn't good. It wasn't Ripley, and I missed Ripley.
It became a full-fledged action-packed movie. Like all like human emotions and all that stuff was put aside, and now for the rest of the movie it's just gonna be run, kill, shoot.
Well,
I didn't mind.
Did anyone
which is fun.
And it's totally fine, but just from a casting standpoint, she was so tiny. Like it was just funny because I think when they cast Sigourney Weaver, she's like a taller girl, so like when she's going around with these humongous guns, it's not so crazy. But it was kind of funny seeing this girl who's so tiny. The guns were like as big as her, you know.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. But, you know, I kind of like that because it made... But you have a great point, Matt, that, like, yeah, everything just... She didn't really have much fear. She was just sort of, like, going for it. And we didn't even get, like, you know, when she comes back... Or, like, you know, like, let's say if, like, the elevator doors opened again, like, she's not even, like, shaking, like, oh, my God, like, what am I doing? You know, like, she's just in warrior mode. But I did kind of like how the gun was so big because it made her look like not of this world. Like she's not even really supposed to be here. Like
she could have gotten away with the girl. Like, I mean, she was literally going back for a robot.
Well, but it's her brother.
It was,
I know.
It's her brother, and it was so nice. But I did sort of think, like, come on, like in a way that we're supposed to, not in a shady way, but like, we're all supposed to be like, girl, go, you have your exit, go.
I know.
But
I truly think that was kind of, and again, I'm not the filmmaker, but us showing like how humans don't leave other humans behind. I mean, Tim will run off if I'm in trouble.
I mean, nothing against Matt. I love Matt, but I would leave him.
Yeah. But human, like, whereas him as a droid when he's working for the company is totally like, I'm not opening that door. Company. She's not going to leave anyone behind, even a droid.
I'm just picturing Matt like on the floor up in the alien cocoon area, and Tim's just in the elevator like pressing the down button like faster.
Tim would have been out of there before we even entered the ship.
That elevator would have already been up to the spaceship. I would have been gone.
I'm like, Tim, help. Tim's like, see you, find your own way back.
I was like, nah, I don't think you're going to make it. Bye.
I know. Oh, I'm so sorry. Hey, I'll keep Happy Hard Time going. Bye.
I think he's still twitching, but I got to go.
Oh, wait. Is Matt alive? I'm like, Tim, I'm alive. Don't hear him. I think he's dead. Bye.
I was like, I'm pretty sure he's dead. Let's just push the elevator go.
I'll call Space 911. I'll be back soon.
Space
Bye.
911. Hey, anyone has the number for Space 911?
I was like, my friend Matt knows there's aliens, and I gotta go.
Yeah, and also it's aliens, so it's probably like Star Wars and Star Trek.
Right. I mean, it's a big nerd fest down there. I gotta go.
Yeah. So we get to a big scene between she comes back and gets Andy, and they're stuck in this room, and all the xenomorphs are coming, and they realize they have guns and can shoot them, but if they shoot them, that acid blood is going to come all over them. So luckily, there's been this gravity layer that they can turn on and off, and they turn off gravity. And this part is where I will say, like, it was a cool scene, but it was also so like implausible. She's shooting all the aliens, and all the acid blood, because there's no gravity, is like floating around, and she literally like swims through the air through the acid and gets not one drop on her.
That was amazing, actually.
Yeah. That scene, I was smiling ear to ear. I was like, you know what? To me, that was like the Scream 2 Nev and her roommate.
The car.
Climbing through the car.
Yeah.
Elise Neal, like that was that. But yeah, I agree, Matt. I feel like I mean,
a drop.
A drop's got to get on your shirt, and like then what great tension. Then you're getting that off, but you're holding your big gun, and then there's more acid that's gonna, there needed to be.
It would have raised the stakes.
I did need something, and I did think it was a cool idea of this like floating through the acid and through the aliens, but that she did it so perfectly. I was like
she's done it before.
I was like, come on, guys! Like, I don't
know if you guys. I don't know if you guys watch Big Brother, but it was making me think of like a Big Brother challenge, because like they have to do things like that where like they have to hold something but they can't touch the ceiling or the floor, and it's like and like if you do it too many times, no, it's hilarious because they're butchering it. It's like, oh, I'm out. I hit it 10 times. Meanwhile, yeah, she's like just swimming right through. I agree. It was a little too easy, much like Josh Hartnett in Trap. I just feel like, I mean, everything's just happening for this guy.
He escaped so easily. Yeah,
grabbing the apron, grabbing this, grabbing that. So, I mean, yeah, I think, or it would have been really interesting if Andy like gets acid on him, and then it starts to do this cool, creepy.
Like Terminator-ish. What if half his face burnt off and he did look really droid-ish?
That seemed like a missed opportunity to show like he was a robot, and they didn't do that.
That was it was a little much for me. But then they got to the elevator, which I did really like the elevator scene, because they're in the elevator shaft and there's still no gravity, and Andy's much higher up than Rain, and she's trying to swim up to him because there's a countdown where the gravity is going to be restored, and she's almost about to get up to him, and then gravity gets restored. She starts falling down the elevator shaft. Not that scared, by the way, even when she's falling. And then, this was funny, but I still kind of liked it. What breaks her fall? The alien.
Yeah, and it's the one time the alien didn't want to penetrate, like didn't want to like impale anyone.
He grabbed her to hold her, not to impale her.
He'd be like, aren't I scary?
He impaled Tyler, so he's holding her, and like the elevator falls, but he's still holding her, and he's going up, and you do think he's gonna let his little head out. I know that sounds funny, and like bash her skull, but then we get Good old, luckily, and I know we forgot to mention that in the mix of all of this, she is able to get that chip out of Andy so that he returns to himself, where he's gonna just protect her. He drops down through the elevator shaft with a gun, shoots the alien dead, and then at the very bottom, he utters the famous line from Aliens, "Get away from her, you bitch." And here's the thing, I think some people may have thought that was cheesy. I loved it.
I loved it too.
I didn't love it, but I don't really feel any certain way. I just thought the way he delivered it, because he says, "Get away from her," and then he like stutters, like, "You bitch." I just thought, like, would Andy actually call the alien a bitch? I don't know.
100% no, and it was 100% implausible, but I still loved it just because it was the callback to that
I agree.
line.
There should have been a callback. Like earlier in the movie, he could have been like, someone could have said like, "Hey, you bitch," and then he said,
no,
"I'll
you're
say
right.
bitch."
When did he learn
yes, Tim.
bitch?
Yes,
But they didn't
great.
do that.
That's a really, oh my God, I love that so much. If one of them says "you bitch" and then you see him kind of like clock that. Oh,
like the Terminator learning, like in Terminator 2, like, bitch.
Like
What
out
is
of
bitch?
nowhere, Andy's using the word bitch. I'm like, okay.
No, you're totally right. He would never have just randomly used bitch. I still kind of loved it because, again, it's just like me loving using Ian Holmes' face. Like, I love Alien and Alien so much that any callbacks to those people and those characters, I just love. So love the line. But anyway, so then they leave and we get to the classic, like we say, you think they're safe, but they're not safe. And this was quite the ending. I will say that I actually thought the last 15 minutes of the movie were kind of my favorite because it was so extreme. They are and so they're gonna go into their cryo chambers. The Kay is okay. They're gonna go in, but then something's going wrong with Kay's chamber. Apparently, she had used that alien human DNA on herself, and what happened was it made her pregnancy really, really accelerate, and she gives birth in the pod to like an alien human hybrid, which you know is not a good idea.
That was giving me like gross, like Alejandra Aya, who did like the Hills Have Eyes remake, like really gnarly, like gross bloody violence. Whoa, that was something.
It was making me think of The Fly too. And I want to say this about movies that have been around like for 45 years. I always find it very, very interesting that they go the baby route. Like if you look at like Freddy's what was that called? The Dream Child.
Yeah.
They're suddenly a baby, and then Jason X. They're like, oh, the only way a Voorhees can be born is through another Voorhees.
Even in like Halloween 6 when they had
like
the baby that was a relative of
it's
Michael.
like baby trouble.
Yeah,
yes.
And I will say this: the one thing they say this from, I mean, it was getting so gory and in depth. I thought the camera was going to be literally like pointed up her vagina. Like by that point, I seriously thought we were going to see it exiting her body. So at least we didn't see that.
I always
love cameras up vaginas.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to say. No, I find it very interesting that as soon as that girl said she was pregnant at the beginning of the movie, I was like, this is going to come into play in the third act.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what? I'm not trying to say I'm a genius. I'm a genius.
I think you're just as smart as Rain. I think you
Wow.
if you weren't running away from the trouble, you could help.
Right. I would help. I'm a genius, you guys.
Yeah.
Well, you would be smarter than Rain because you would have been back on your planet by now. You would have been
but his poor droid brother would have been stuck.
Right. I would have been alone and sad, but I'd be alive.
You're right. So she gives birth to this. They're trying to get rid of it, but as we know, if it has alien DNA in it, it's going to grow really quickly, and it ends up like growing into this. This is how I can describe it, and tell me what you think. Have you seen the movie Smile?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, remember the very end when you finally see like the creepy monster that they all see before they die? It's like this really tall, almost Slender Man looking human ghost creature-ish. It reminded me of that because it's this really tall, slender, phantomish human looking whatever. I mean, it's pure nightmare fuel. It does look a little weird, but it's like, it's creepy. I thought it was creepy.
Oh, I thought it was perfect. I thought that was so wild. I didn't think of Smile, but you remind me now how that ended. I didn't love the ending of Smile. By then, I kind of stopped caring. But what was cool was I am a fan of Prometheus, and it looked a little bit like those whatever they call them engineers, the really white, pale, big, tall guys.
Yes.
You know, and in Prometheus at the end, you realize that the xenomorph is birthed because like the alien, DNA got in an engineer. So I thought that was an interesting kind of callback to that now the alien DNA with a human baby turns into this kind of engineer looking. Oh, I was smiling. I was like,
what
this
did you
is
think? And
wild.
you know what also scared me and made me think of Smile is because this creature smiles, and anything really creepy and scary that smiles at you just makes it like exponentially more creepy.
And that baby grew really, really fast, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Did you guys grow up with the TV show V?
Yes.
Oh,
We
yeah.
talked about
Remember
V. Yeah.
Jennifer Cook from Friday 13th Part 6? She, I think, was she the one having the baby? I can't remember which actress was
I don't
having
remember
the baby.
in detail.
But they showed like a little baby like that. And I was like, oh, I kind of like that they're showing like the alien as a little baby for like, even if it was just
5
for
seconds.
like 5 seconds. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, because you see it sort of has some human elements to it, but it's so monstrous and like huge. And it goes up to Kay, who, is its mother. And all I can describe is it looks like it like drains her either of blood or of milk or whatever, but it kills her from like nursing on her.
Yeah. Okay.
Unclear.
So I thought it was interesting that they didn't want to just show us a little bit more. Again, going back to Hills Have Eyes, because that was pretty gnarly with mom, lactating and hillbilly and all that disgusting. But yeah, she puts her hand in her shirt and it's like the most disgusting like goo. And then the baby is there smiling and he's smelling her. But then, the next shot is, it looks like he's almost like a vampire, like biting her neck rather than...
it's, I guess, whatever milk the mother of some alien compound baby would have, like, is that gross stuff. And but it drained so much of her that it just killed her.
He like dropped her.
Yeah, just like dropped her. And it also slices Andy's throat, so he's incapacitated and bleeding all the white stuff that a droid bleeds. So we're down to Rain, and it's just Rain and the alien. And I will say that as much as this was my favorite part of the movie, it moved really quickly, like really fast. Suddenly she's down in the hangar and she's hooked herself onto this cord and she lures it down there, and then she releases it, and then the hangar and the alien gets ejected from the ship, but she's like hanging below it. It just all was very chaotic, but it was still
chaotic.
Cool.
Well, it was like
very
the
cool.
third ending.
Yeah.
It was,
They're like, all right, you guys have been like faked out enough times. We'll wrap this up. But yeah, like that, I'm so glad you're saying that it is a little chaotic and like hard to figure out what's happening because it's so fast. Yeah. Like, before I know it, she's hooked on. I'm like, how did she get hooked? I must have blinked. I missed her hooking herself. And then the thing's right there. And as like the ship is like falling apart, and it was a little too fast. I agree. But
and I've seen some people online saying like, oh, they just copied the end of part 2, where they have to face the queen and eject. And I don't necessarily agree with that because like that was the queen alien. It wasn't a human hybrid. And yes, she had to eject part of a ship and get rid of it. But isn't that the only way you get rid of something that's on a ship with you? You have to blow it out of the ship.
Isn't that how like most of these movies end? Is the survivor ejects himself? It happens at Prometheus. I forget how Covenant ends, but like, I could see how people see a similarity, but no, my mind was blown. I was like, oh my God. And we've seen like mutant babies before, but this was a very welcome surprise for me. I was into it. Oh my God. So,
I agree. And I don't mind the similarities. I think the similarities between the films are great.
Yeah, I actually want that. It's almost like when people say like, oh, that sequel just redid the first one. Well, if you love the first one, what's so bad about that? I've always been someone like that. It's like, I don't necessarily care if you use the same formula. If the formula worked, as long as you don't dilute it and it's like a pale imitation. If you use the formula, but you do it and you add some new elements to it, it can work,
Yeah,
very simple formula.
Yes, everyone's a suspect.
Isn't it? It's clever to take a working formula, right? And a big, beautiful set pieces, highlights, and then further the story and kind of, give a little nod to them. I think it's great.
Yeah.
Totally.
So they're safe. It's only her and Andy. She puts him in a pod. Not sure why he needs to cryo sleep if he's a droid, but, and it ends as every alien movie ends with her doing like a log, like they always end where it's like she's recorded her voice saying the last survivor of whatever, and they're gonna make the trip to Yavaga, so they have to sleep for like 9 years. And I'm sure if this does well, and I'm sure it is doing well, that we will get a sequel. Now, will it continue Rain and Andy as they go to Yavaga? Will it be other people? I
heard they're going to Yugoslavia.
Wait, so
a whole different
all over.
horror.
So I want to get each of your feelings. 2 questions to close us out. Each of you, overall thoughts on the movie, and where do you think they should go with a sequel? Mark, you go first.
Wow. Oh, great questions. Overall, so much fun. Wild movie. Gross. Luckily for me, not too gross. It was just the right amount because these movies, can get pretty gnarly. And I was nervous that I was just going to see guts just all over the screen. So perfect amount of guts. Thought it was so good. We're nitpicking a little bit. It's not perfect, but loved it. Had such a fun time. Where a sequel could go? Well, going back to the Romulus and Remus, which again, they just really breezed through that, the kind of plaque on the wall. I assume a sequel would be to continue this specific story and catch up with Rain and Andy. Maybe somehow, I don't know, get Ripley in there. I don't think that's possible, but I don't know. And maybe bridge the gap now between whatever the next movie will be. Remus, someone said, if it's Romulus and Remus, I don't know. And then get that into Aliens, I think it would make the most sense to follow this movie. It would not make sense to do this movie, have it make money, and then do a sequel that's now a different story. I think
to Covenant. Yeah, no, exactly.
Right.
I have a question.
I do think people, I can't remember how Covenant ended, but I do think there is still a gap there that doesn't lead into the original Aliens. So hopefully we do get that movie, but I think that can sit out and we follow Rain.
Did the Romulus Remus stations, I forget did they crash and blow up at the end of this movie? I can't even remember. I remember they were headed to a crash, but I don't remember if that whole ship was destroyed.
That's a good point.
Because that would be a big thing. If it wasn't destroyed, those aliens are still there.
They showed that Ian Holm, is that his name?
Yeah. Oh, yep. Yes, he does. He gets destroyed.
They show him blowing up, so I'm assuming it blew up.
I guess
that's right. They did.
You're right. Yeah. You're right. See, you
he did
more.
explode.
Well,
but as we now know, with the start of this movie, just because a piece of something is floating in space doesn't mean it's dead. Doesn't mean it can't be plugged in or reborn. So I assume that the sequel will not only follow our typical xenomorphs and facehuggers, but we're going to see that alien baby again.
Oh, God. Yes. Floating in space. Maybe it doesn't need oxygen. Yeah, that's a good call. Okay. Tim, what do you think? Thoughts on the movie and where you would like to see it go?
When it first started, the movie, and they had no music, no nothing, and it's very quiet, and they're just kind of panning on the spaceship. I was like, this is I was.
You're like, I'm gonna go.
Yeah, I was like, oh man, this is gonna be tedious. I don't want an artful alien film. I wanted what I got. I wanted a fast-paced thriller with unbelievable scenes and a cute cast, and it's everything I wanted. It's everything. It's all I ever wanted.
All I ever needed is in this movie.
Romulus.
Okay. And now what? Romulus. Now, what would you want to see in a sequel? Josh Hartnett and Salika Shyamalan.
Not to be a shallow, but maybe some more hot guys.
That's all.
That's it.
Give me one thing related to Alien.
Rain and Andy and some hot guys.
I got it.
Great.
Since Tim watched Alien 3 4 friggin' times in the theater, it wasn't Alien 3 a colony of men. It was like a prison.
Yes, it was a prison.
So Tim's idea for the next sequel is a gay spaceship.
It's a gay party planet. Oh my God.
Party prison.
A gay party prison, and a xenomorph gets there, and now I'm thinking of all, and then you saying rape, and now I'm thinking of all awful things.
I know.
Right?
Yeah.
What's so funny, and what I had never even thought of, Mark, is I didn't even think of it as rape, but it totally is because the aliens are penetrating them through their mouths and implanting them with stuff. So, oh my God, totally right.
Well, I learned that back in that college class. My teacher, and that's when I read Carol Clover's Final Girl book, famous book. And yeah, even she wrote, and they were oh yeah, these movies are totally all about rape and having to be a mother when you were raped, and it's oh my God. And that's, any obviously sexual violence is always horrifying, but I just find that so terrifying. So yeah, it's just
now it's I look at it and now I get the heebie-jeebies. I guess I knew that they were planting the seeds, but I was looking at more just host and parasite. I again, I know it's
which it still is,
but yeah, it still is. But okay. So my overall thought. What's funny is that I know that we kind of went through it and we laughed at a lot of parts, but overall, I really did enjoy this. I enjoyed the movie. I didn't love love it, but I really liked it. Like for me, like it would definitely go under Alien and Aliens, but it probably would go over like Prometheus and Covenant and Alien 3 and Resurrection. So I guess it would be like third. I did like that they returned to like just, like balls to the wall, like fighting the alien type things. I didn't know that they created as memorable characters as the first two movies go. Like I can remember all the characters from the first two movies because they all had such distinct characteristics or things. And there were a lot of characters that I didn't really grow to love. I liked Rain and Andy, but everyone else to me was like, whatever, give or take it,
Yeah.
And I thought the end was really great. Like I just thought that it was just very fast, and I think that this is the kind of movie that could really do well with rewatchings, with subtitles, and that kind of thing. So I think there was a lot of story elements that they didn't get to really fully explain because it was so fast. But I'm also the guy who I love really simple movies. It's probably why I love Alien so much, because it's like bunch of people stop on a planet, one gets infected, alien comes out, they hunt it, and it hunts them down one by one. Very simple. This had a ton of story things going on that was very fast. So I think that's what worked against it a little bit. But overall, like in terms of the Alien franchise, like it was the first like true return to form for me since Aliens, and it's so it's good. It gives me hope that they can do more with the series. As for where I'd want to see it, like I would definitely want to keep with Rain and Andy, and I'm thinking maybe it can be like Aliens, where they arrive somewhere and they find out on a different planet that like an alien's been spotted, and they want them to come back as experts because they fought them before. Same thing they did with Ripley. They had Ripley come back like as an advisor, but something where they go back to try to help because now they feel like they know how to conquer them or something like that. Right. I don't really know. Of course, I would love to have Sigourney Weaver somewhere in it if we could ever get her. That would be like number one.
Yeah.
Did they ever
so
explain how Newt got her name? Was she named after a fig Newton?
Her name was Rebecca, and for some reason she went by Newt, and they never explain why.
Thank you.
Tim. They mostly come out at night. Mostly. That's my That's what Newt says. It's my favorite line. They mostly come out at night. Mostly. I just love that she has to say mostly.
Listen,
again.
I don't watch that space stuff.
Look, Tim's like, I've seen him once. Give me Alien 3 any day.
Tim's like, I get it. Princess Leia, the buns. Okay.
Great. William Shatner. Love that.
Tim's like, great. Captain Kirk, Spock, and the aliens.
Kim Cattrall was in one. Great.
Look, Tim, no interest. Sorry.
No interest.
Oh, wow.
My God.
Well, Mark, it has been so much fun having you on this episode.
So fun.
And it's funny. And for listeners, I know this has gone on longer than normal episodes, but it's because we just have so much fun talking with you.
Aliens.
Like, no, I mean, yes, aliens, but like, you're just so easy to talk with. Like, you have great opinions. You're so funny. We're so lucky to have you on the show.
Oh, thank you. I am so truly lucky to be here. I mean, you've had stars, so I guess I'm a star now.
We have had stars, but we have not had Mark J. Parker.
That's
oh my
right.
God. Well, you let me know whenever you want me back. I'll watch whatever. I'll watch Jason X. I still have never seen it. Sorry, Tim.
Ooh, you know what? Don't ever watch it.
Skip it. Just watch Alien 3 over and over and over again.
Honestly, now I'm going to rewatch the sequels, at least Aliens and Alien 3. I don't know about Resurrection, maybe. But now I'm going to message you guys and just like see what now more stuff I pick up, because
I'm totally going to watch Alien 3 too.
Right? I want to go down the rabbit hole.
Message us after, because Aliens is like chef's kiss.
Oh, yeah.
It's so fun. Like anybody who says, I have yet to meet one person who's like, I didn't enjoy Aliens. Like, you have to have no sense of fun if you didn't enjoy the movie Aliens.
It really is one of the rare sequels that is equal to, some people think better, right?
Yeah.
And one of the rare successful sequels not directed by like the original director. That doesn't happen too often, right? So yeah. Pretty amazing.
Yeah. Well, Mark, and so everyone check out
his podcast.
Yes, Release Date Rewind podcast. Catching
Rinse and
all
repeat.
Rinse and Repeat podcast. Catching all the
Follow
movies.
him on TikTok.
Follow him on Instagram. And if you want, you can catch our episode with him, which was last year on Urban Legend.
Urban Legend.
And
please do.
And we hope. I mean, I know we'll stay in touch. I hope we can come back on your show.
You're going to be back on mine. Yeah. This is only the beginning. This is just the prequel to our alien
In the
saga.
beginning.
This is Mark and Happy Horror Time Romulus.
Oh, that sounds good.
Yeah.
I'd pay to see that.
Exactly. Well, okay, Mark. Well, thank you so much, and we will
Thank
talk with
you.
you soon, okay?
Thank you.
Okay,
Bye,
take
boys.
care. Bye.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Happy Horror Time.
If you'd like to support the podcast, please sign up to be a patron at www.patreon.com/happyhorrortime. As a patron, you get access to all our bonus content, which now includes 2 new bonus episodes every month, a monthly after show mini episode, access to our Discord community so you can chat with us directly, and the chance to review a film with us in one of our bonus episodes.
Patrons also get all our regular episodes ad-free and a day early, our monthly newsletter, the chance to vote in polls, and autographed Happy Horror Time stickers.
I'm Matt Emmert.
And I'm Tim Murdoch.
And we hope you have a happy horror time.